The private jet burned for only 6 minutes before the fire crews reached it. But 6 minutes was long enough. By the time the ambulance screamed up the private runway outside Charles de Gaulle, Dr. Ethan Harper, world-renowned cardiologist and Seattle's most photogenic philanthropist, was already drowning in his own blood. Ava Harper sat beside the gurney in the ICU corridor, still wearing the blood-spattered Chanel suit she'd boarded in. Her manicure was perfect. Her heart was not. 40 years old, not a single gray hair yet, and she looked like a widow who had stepped off a Vogue shoot instead of a flaming Gulf Stream. A nurse tried to guide her away. Ava didn't move. She waited until they wheeled Ethan into the glass-walled room, tubes in every orifice, monitors screaming like banshees. Then she walked in alone, heels clicking like gunshots on the tile. Ethan's eyes, once glacier blue and mercilessly charming, were clouded with morphine and regret. He couldn't speak with the ventilator, but he clawed weakly at her wrist until she leaned close enough to feel his ragged breath on her cheek. With tremendous effort, he pulled the tube aside just long enough to rasp 4 cracked words. "Bury me with Sophia." Ava froze. The heart monitor spiked, then stuttered. He tried again, blood bubbling at the corner of his perfect mouth. "In our next life, only her. Promise me." 40 years of marriage medical school loans she'd paid, the clinic she'd funded, the lakefront mansion in her name alone. The nights he'd claimed were conferences in Aspen or Dubai collapsed into that single sentence. Ava felt something inside her chest detonate quietly. She smoothed a lock of silver fox hair from his forehead, the way she had on their wedding day. "Of course, darling," she whispered, voice honey over broken glass. "I'll make sure you and Sophia are together. Forever." His fingers tightened on hers, a lover's gratitude. The monitor flatline tone began, long and final. Ava did not cry. She reached over, silenced the alarm with a manicured thumb, and closed his eyes herself. Then she smiled, a small, lethal, and utterly calm expression. The monitors went dark. So did everything else. And then, light. Ava opened her eyes to sunlight pouring through floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Washington. The smell of fresh paint and new money. The moving trucks were still outside. She was 38 again. The exact morning Ethan brought the weeping, widowed Sophia Langford across their threshold for the first time. Ava stood at the top of the grand staircase in yoga leggings and an oversized Harvard sweater, coffee in hand, watching the circus arrive. Ethan strode in first, Armani suit impeccable, carrying a single Louis Vuitton duffel as though it weighed nothing. Behind him, Sophia, blonde, fragile, drowning in black cashmere despite the July heat, clutched a tiny dog and sobbed theatrically into a monogrammed tissue. Little Chloe Langford, age 6, trailed them both, iPad in hand, already filming for her mother's 1.2 million Instagram followers. Grieving Grateful New Chapter Family. First, Ethan cleared his throat, the same impatient throat clear he used on nurses who were 30 seconds late with charts. "Ava, sweetheart, you remember Sophia, my late brother's wife?" He never said my late brother Nathan anymore, just my late brother, as if Nathan had been an inconvenience that had finally removed itself. Sophia lifted red-rimmed eyes. "I'm so sorry to impose. I can't be in that house without him." Ava descended the stairs slowly, barefoot, every step deliberate. She reached the marble foyer, set her coffee down, and opened her arms wide. "Impose, darling. This is your home now." She enveloped Sophia in a warm hug, and the younger woman stiffened in surprise. Over Sophia's shoulder, Ava met Ethan's eyes and smiled like sunrise. "We're family." Ethan blinked. That was not the reaction he'd rehearsed. Ava pulled back, cupped Sophia's tear-streaked face. "You'll take the master wing. Obviously lake views, steam shower, the whole west side. I've already had the staff move my things to the guest house." "Ethan, could you be a dear and help with the bags?" She turned to little Chloe, crouched so they were eye level. "Hey, princess, want to see the home theater? We can watch whatever you like while mommy settles in." Chloe's mouth fell open. "Do you have a theater?" 4K projector, Dolby Atmos, and an actual popcorn machine. Run." The child bolted. Sophia tried to protest, But Ava was already steering her toward the staircase. One arm looped affectionately through hers. I insist. You've been through hell. And honestly, Ava lowered her voice conspiratorially. I've always wanted a sister. Ethan followed with the luggage, frowning like a man who'd rehearsed an argument, only to discover the other side had surrendered before the first shot. That afternoon, Ava personally supervised the movers. She had Sophia's walk-in closet retrofitted with extra lighting. For your content, babe, installed a ring light in the bathroom. Natural light is cruel after crying, and turned the former home gym into a wellness sanctuary with yoga mats, essential oil diffusers, and a dedicated corner for Sophia's grief journaling ring light. She even gifted Sophia a bottle of vintage Veuve Clicquot. To new beginnings, Ava toasted, clinking glasses while the staff live-streamed on Sophia's phone because Ava had accidentally hit record. By nightfall, St. Ethan and Harper House of Healing were trending nationwide. Comments poured in. Is he taking in his brother's widow man's a saint? Dr. Harper is literally husband goals. That wife is an angel for opening her home like this. Sophia's follower count spiked by 200K in 6 hours. Her smile, however, looked brittle. Ethan cornered Ava in the kitchen at midnight, while Sophia was upstairs doing her 20-step skincare routine. Are you feeling okay? He asked, genuine concern creasing his perfect forehead. You're different. Ava leaned against the Sub-Zero, sipping chamomile, barefoot, hair in a messy bun, every inch the relaxed hostess. Different how? You're being nice? Ava softly laughed. I'm always nice. Ethan. She reached up, straightened his collar the way she had a million times. I just realized something today. What's that? Family is everything. She brushed an imaginary speck from his lapel and let her fingers linger. And I will do anything, to keep this family together. Her smile never reached her eyes. Ethan shivered, though the kitchen was warm. Upstairs, Sophia opened her new closet and found every hanger already occupied by Ava's winter coats. A post-it fluttered from one sleeve in Ava's elegant handwriting. Welcome home, sister. Make yourself at home. P.S. The security cameras are 4K. Smile. Sophia's champagne glass slipped from her fingers and shattered on the heated marble floor. Downstairs. Ava raised her mug in a silent toast to the dark window, reflecting her face. Round 1. Ava woke every morning at 5:15, long before the house stirred. She padded barefoot to the glass-walled office overlooking the lake, opened her encrypted laptop, and continued buying. Through 3 silent shell LLCs registered in the Caymans, she had already acquired 38% of Harper Cardiovascular Partners, Ethan's flagship heart clinic in downtown Seattle. Every week, another silent block of shares changed hands. The other partners never noticed. They were too busy admiring the new marble lobby Ava had paid for as a surprise gift to my brilliant husband. She also bought the mortgage on the building, then the mortgage on the building next door, then the one after that. Quietly, patiently, like a woman planting roses that would one day bloom into barbed wire. At breakfast, she was sunshine itself. She made Sophia's favorite oat milk matcha lattes with a heart drawn in foam. She posted selfies of the 3 of them on the terrace, grateful for my sister joining our little family. Blessed, no. One grieves alone. The internet swooned. Sophia's follower count rocketed past 2 million. Brands flooded her DMs. Ava smiled and kept pouring poison. She gifted Sophia an adorable rescue puppy, a snow-white Samoyed named Snowball. What she did not mention was that Snowball had been specifically chosen because he was violently allergic to Sophia's signature perfume line. Widow's Tears, number 5. Within a week, Snowball was sneezing blood on every cream-colored sofa. Sophia's ring light videos now featured a soundtrack of wheezing and antihistamine spritzes. Her fragrance sponsors vanished overnight. Cancel Sophia trended for 48 humiliating hours. Ethan tried to intervene. Ava, maybe the dog should go to a farm. Ava's eyes filled with instant tears. But Chloe loves him. And Sophia said pets heal grief. Ethan backed down. He always did when Ava cried. He had no idea she had spent years perfecting the single perfect tear that slid down one cheek on command. At night, Ava flirted shamelessly with her own husband. She wore silk slips the color of fresh bruises and left hickeys just above his collar where the scrubs wouldn't hide them. She sent him filthy texts while he was in surgery. Thinking about you inside me during rounds. Hurry home, doctor. Sophia saw the messages because Ava accidentally airdropped them to the entire house Wi-Fi. Sophia's jealousy became a living thing. She began wearing Ethan's discarded dress shirts around the house, nothing underneath. She cried louder in the shower so he would come running. She posted thirst traps at 2 a.m., captioned, "Can't sleep, missing someone who was never really gone." Ava watched from the security feeds and smiled the way a cat watches a canary realize the cage door is open and the cat is already inside. Then came the night Sophia finally snapped. Ethan had fallen asleep on the couch, watching game film of his own surgeries. Classic narcissist bedtime stories. At 1:17 a.m., the master bedroom camera caught Sophia slipping out of the guest wing in one of Ethan's white coats and nothing else. She crawled onto the couch, straddled him, whispered his name until he woke, confused and complicated. They never made it upstairs. The marble island in the kitchen became their altar. Ava sat in her dark office, watching the live feed on the 85-inch monitor. The volume low, she watched every thrust, every moan, every whispered, "I've waited so long." She did not flinch. She pressed export, encrypted the file, and scheduled an anonymous drop to the Washington Medical Quality Assurance Commission for 800 a.m. sharp. At 8:03 the next morning, Ethan's phone began to explode. By 8:17, the board of directors requested an emergency meeting. By 9:02, the clinic's Instagram disabled comments because the entire internet was calling Dr. Harper a predatory hypocrite. Sophia burst into Ava's office, still in yesterday's mascara. "You leaked it," she screamed. "You evil bitch! You planned this!" Ava turned slowly in her chair, legs crossed, red soles flashing like fresh blood. "Leaked what? Darling, I was in New York last night. My Amex receipts are time-stamped at per se until midnight. Shall we call the concierge?" Sophia lunged. Ava didn't even stand. She lifted one perfectly arched brow and said, almost gently, "Touch me, and I'll have you arrested for assault in front of Chloe's school drop-off line. Smile for the ring camera." Sophia froze, trembling with rage. Behind her, Ethan appeared in the doorway, face gray. "Ava, we need to talk." Ava stood, smoothed her skirt, and walked past them both. "Take all the time you need." "Darling, I'll be at the spa. Grief can be extremely stressful on the skin." She paused at the threshold, looked back with a smile sharp enough to cut diamonds. "Oh, and Ethan. The board voted this morning. You're suspending your privileges pending investigation. Better call your lawyer." She blew them a kiss and left the house humming. For the first time since Rebirth, Ava felt real fear. It arrived in a manila envelope and was slid under the door of her new penthouse at 3:12 a.m. No return address. Inside, grainy photos of Ava and Ethan in the Cayman Islands. 2017, signing documents that funneled clinic profits into offshore accounts. Her signature is clear as day. A single post-it was stuck to the top picture. $8 million must be wired to the account below by Friday. Otherwise, it will be sent to the IRS, the FBI, and every major network. V. Victor Langford. Sophia's first husband was supposedly killed in a boating explosion 6 years earlier. Except the explosion had been staged, the body never found, and Victor had been sipping piña coladas in Panama. At the same time, Sophia played the grieving widow and collected the $10 million life insurance payout. Ava sat on the cold marble floor until dawn, heart hammering for the first time in this second life. If those photos were to go public, she would lose everything she had built. Worse, Ethan would finally have leverage to paint her as the villain. She almost wired the money. Her finger hovered over send. Then she remembered Ethan's dying rasp. In our next life. Only her. Ava closed the laptop. No, she had not come back from the dead to pay blackmail to a corpse. Instead, she made 3 phone calls. The first was a private intelligence firm in D.C. that owed her favors. The second was a deputy U.S. attorney who hated Wall Street fraud more than she hated breathing. The third law office in Panama City that had incorporated Victor's shell companies. 72 hours later, Victor Langford was arrested, boarding a private flight to Dubai, screaming Sophia's name as federal agents cuffed him on the tarmac. The live-streamed takedown went viral within minutes. Twitter exploded. Wait, the dead husband is alive. Sophia Langford committed insurance fraud and bigamy. Harper's mistress has a zombie husband. This is peak 225. Sophia's brand died overnight. Sponsors fled. Her verified checkmark turned gray. She locked herself in the main bathroom and refused to come out. Ethan, desperate to salvage his reputation, did the one thing Ava had known he would. He proposed to Sophia on a rented yacht at sunset, with a ring the size of a small planet. Cameras rolling. Redemption arced love after loss. He even live-streamed the proposal on his own page. Some people only get one soulmate. I was lucky enough to find mine twice. Ava watched from the front row in blood-red silk, clapping politely while the photographers flashed. She waited until the champagne corks popped, until Sophia tearfully said yes, until Ethan kissed his new fiancée in front of 200 influencers. Then she pressed a single button on her phone. Every screen on the yacht, including the giant LED wall behind the couple, suddenly displayed the same image. The deed to the lakefront mansion is now irrevocably transferred into the Harper Animal Sanctuary Trust, followed by the foreclosure notice on Ethan's clinic, followed by the headline from the Seattle Times an hour earlier. Harper Cardiovascular Partners Board votes no confidence in founder Dr. Ethan Harper. The music died. The champagne stopped mid-pour. Ethan turned white as the sails. Ava stood, glass raised. Congratulations. You too. May you be as happy as you deserve. She stepped off the yacht, heels clicking across the dock like a countdown. Behind her, Sophia screamed Ethan's name. He didn't answer. He was too busy staring at the woman, walking away with everything he thought was his. Ava didn't look back, but in the reflection of the dark water, she allowed herself one small, satisfied smile. The fear was gone. The game had just become interesting. The foreclosure hit on a Monday morning that smelled like rain and ruin. At 8:57 a.m., 3 King County deputy marshals walked into Harper Cardiovascular Partners with a court order and a locksmith. By 9:03, the lobby fountain, the one Ava had personally commissioned from Italian marble, was chained shut. By 9:11, every local news helicopter was circling like vultures. By 9:18, Ethan Harper, still in teal scrubs, was on his knees in the parking garage begging the locksmith not to change the executive suite locks. Ava watched the live stream on a 110-inch screen in her new penthouse, legs tucked beneath her, wearing cashmere socks and an expression of perfect serenity. The internet did the rest. Doctor. Heartless trended in 4 countries. Old patients posted videos of Ethan ghosting them after botched procedures. A nurse from 2019 uploaded body cam footage of him screaming at a widow whose husband died on his table. Within 6 hours, the clinic's Yelp page was a graveyard of 1-star reviews titled, "My dad died, so this man could buy another Porsche." Ethan showed up at Ava's building at 1:47 a.m., drunk on 30-year Macallan and self-pity. Security had orders let him up. Ava wanted to watch him crawl. He stumbled out of the private elevator into the marble foyer, shoes in one hand, the other clutching a half-empty bottle. His eyes were swollen, his legendary hair greasy and unkempt. He looked 10 years older than the man who had boarded the jet to Paris. "Ava," he rasped, and dropped to his knees right there on the heated Italian stone. "Please." She stood at the kitchen island in pale gray silk pajamas, barefoot, hair in a low knot, untouched by the chaos she had orchestrated. "Please." "What, Ethan?" "Repurchase the clinic. I'll sign anything. I'll deed you the house, the cars, the yacht. I'll leave Sophia tomorrow. I'll go on national television and say I'm a monster. Just don't let me lose the only thing I was ever good at." Ava tilted her head, studying him the way a surgeon studies a heart that has already stopped beating. He crawled closer, tears and snot mixing on his upper lip. "I fucked up. I know I fucked up. I never should have." "Stop." Her voice was soft, almost tender. He obeyed instantly, just as he used to when she told him dinner was ready. She crouched so their faces were level, close enough to smell the whiskey on his breath, close enough to see the broken capillaries in his eyes. "Do you remember Paris?" she asked. He flinched as if slapped. "Do you remember the last thing you said to me while you were dying?" He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. "You said," Ava continued, voice velvet and venom, "in our next life, only her. You begged me to bury you with Sophia. You held my hand and thanked me when I promised I would make it happen." A single tear slid down her cheek real this time, hot and unexpected. She let it fall. "I'm a woman of my word, Ethan. I always was." He lunged for her hand. She let him catch it. His fingers shook so hard she felt the tremor travel up her arm. "I never loved you," he sobbed. "I married you for the money. I stayed for the money. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please." Ava smiled, slow and terrible. "Thank you," she whispered. That made the last 5 years worth it. She slipped her free hand into her pocket, pressed stop on the recording, and stood. The clip. Ethan on his knees, confessing everything was uploaded from an anonymous account at 2:19 a.m. By sunrise, it had 68 million views. By noon. Gold Digger Doctor was the top trend in 17 languages. Sophia's final counterpunch came 48 hours later. A press conference on the federal courthouse steps. White dress, trembling voice, single perfect tear. She accused Ava of years of emotional, verbal, and financial abuse. She produced a leather-bound diary with daily entries describing Ava locking her in rooms, withholding food, and threatening Chloe. The diary had been authenticated by a handwriting expert paid very well, very quietly. For 72 hours, Ava became the most hated woman in America. Death threats flooded her inbox. Her board asked for an emergency meeting. Old college friends sold stories to tabloids about how Ava had always been a cold, calculating bitch. Ava said nothing publicly. She canceled all interviews, turned off comments on every platform, and went silent. The world decided that meant guilt. The civil trial was carried live on Court TV, True TV, and streamed by every major network. Sophia's legal team paid for, ironically, by GoFundMe donations from people who believed her victim story put on a masterclass in weaponized tears. Witness after witness took the stand. A former housekeeper who claimed Ava once threw a vase at Sophia's head, Chloe's elementary school counselor testified that the child had drawn pictures of mean Aunt Ava with devil horns. A psychologist diagnosed Sophia with complex PTSD caused by prolonged spousal proxy abuse. Sophia herself was devastating. Small voice, shaking hands, eyes that never quite met the camera. She spoke of nights locked in the wine cellar. Ava is forcing her to eat from dog bowls, of being told her dead husband had never loved her, that the marriage to Nathan had been a pity arrangement. The jury 8 women, 4 men looked at Ava with open contempt. Ava sat at the defense table in quiet navy suits and pearl studs, hands folded, expression unreadable. She took notes in neat, slanted handwriting. She never interrupted. She never raised her voice. She waited. On the morning of day 10, Sophia's team rested. The judge turned to the defense. "Ms. Harper, does the defense wish to call witnesses?" Ava stood. "Your Honor, the defense calls 1 witness. Myself, 20 minutes is all I require." She walked to the stand, carrying nothing but a single black flash drive. The courtroom lights dimmed as the projector came into view. Slide 1 bank records showing $98 million transferred from Nathan Harper's life insurance policy into an account titled S. Langford Revocable Trust. 41 hours after his death, slide 2 emails between Sophia and Victor Langford, dated 2 weeks after the funeral, discussing how long she needed to keep up the Widow Act before moving in with Ethan. Slide 3 the original insurance claim form with Sophia's signature next to the box marked, "Presumed drowning, no body recovered." Slide 4 a video, time-stamped. of Sophia and Victor laughing on a yacht in the Caymans 6 months after Nathan died. The air left the room like a punctured lung. Ava turned to Sophia, voice gentle, almost kind. "Miss Langford, were you never a grieving widow? You were an extremely wealthy one who needed a new husband to explain the sudden money." Sophia's face went the color of old ash. Her mouth opened and closed like a dying fish. Ava clicked to the final slide, a current driver's license photo of Victor Langford alive, tanned, smiling, issued in Florida 3 weeks ago. The courtroom erupted. Reporters sprinted for the doors. The judge banged her gavel so hard the handle cracked. Sophia stood slowly. Her eyes were empty, feral. She reached into her designer purse and pulled out a silver letter opener, engraved with the words, "Forever yours." Ethan had given it to her on their first anniversary after Nathan. She vaulted over the rail, screaming, "You took everything." The blade flashed toward Ava's throat. Ava didn't flinch. She stepped aside one graceful half-step, rehearsed 1,000 times in her mind. The letter opener sliced empty air. Sophia stumbled, momentum carrying her forward. 3 bailiffs tackled her to the floor, inches from Ava's feet. The blade clattered across the marble like a dropped coin. The entire assault was captured in crystal-clear 4K by 12 different cameras. The judge's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. Case dismissed with prejudice. Plaintiff is remanded into custody, attempted murder in open court. Bail denied. Sophia was dragged away, still screaming Ava's name. Mascara rivers down her cheeks, one shoe missing. Ava smoothed an invisible wrinkle from her skirt, stepped down from the witness stand, and walked out of the courtroom into a storm of camera flashes and spontaneous applause from spectators who had watched every second live. That night, she trended globally as Queen Ava. The diary was proven to be a $400 Etsy purchase with forged entries. The housekeeper admitted on camera to being paid $50,000. The psychologist lost his license by morning. Sophia was indicted for attempted murder, insurance fraud, and conspiracy after the fact. Victor took a plea and vanished into witness protection. Ethan watched the footage from a studio apartment in Tacoma that smelled like old pizza and regret. He opened the bottle of Macallan he had been saving for his 60th birthday, drank half, and cried himself to sleep on the floor. 5 years later, Phoenix Rising Developments was valued at $4.1 billion. Ava had built or renovated women's shelters in 32 cities. Her foundation had funded 12,000 full-ride scholarships for girls leaving abusive homes. She had been on the cover of Forbes 3 times, The Resurrection of Ava Harper, Time's 100 Most Influential twice, and once deliciously on the cover of Cardiology Today, under the headline, "The Heart He Broke Built an Empire." She still lived in Seattle, in a glass house suspended over the Sound like a promise kept. The only photograph in the entire 11,000 square feet was a small black and white from 2006 Ava and Ethan at their engagement party. Young, laughing, invincible. She looked at it only on the anniversary of the crash. Then she turned it face down until the following year. Ethan now drives for a rideshare company. He waited outside her headquarters every single Thursday, the one day she still left the building in person, holding a cardboard sign that read, "I was wrong," in trembling marker. Passers-by filmed him for TikTok. He no longer looked at the cameras. Sophia served 38 months of a 12-year sentence. A prison fight over a pack of cigarettes cost her her left arm below the elbow. She was released early for good behavior and disappeared into the Los Angeles homeless population. Her face scarred, gaunt, missing teeth was occasionally spotted in viral videos of Skid Row. One January afternoon, Ava flew down for the opening of a new shelter in South Los Angeles. Her motorcade, 3 black SUVs, and a Rolls-Royce Phantom stopped at a red light on Ocean Avenue. A woman shuffled up to the lead vehicle, one sleeve pinned up, a chipped Starbucks cup in her remaining hand. She tapped on the tinted window with a cracked nail. The window lowered. Sophia looked up. The years had not been kind. Her once golden hair was the color of nicotine. Her skin was mottled with sores. But the eyes, those pale, predatory eyes, were unchanged. For a long moment, neither woman spoke. Sophia's cracked lips parted. "In our next life," she rasped, "let me be the rich one." Ava studied the wreckage of the woman who had once stolen her husband, her home, her future. She reached into her Birkin, pulled out a single penny shiny. 2029 mint, and let it fall into the cup with a tiny clink. Sophia, darling, she said, soft as snowfall, lethal as winter. There won't be a next life for you and Ethan. She leaned forward slightly, voice barely above a whisper, but clear. I kept my promise in that hospital in Paris. I made sure you would be together forever, in the only way two people like you deserve. The light turned green. The window rose without a sound. The motorcade glided forward into the California sun. Ava Harper never looked back.